Kiwanis Club, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Andy. Good evening again, everyone. This is a really good evening for us to be together. Because one of the things that we are going to be treated to this evening is a presentation by one of my favorite media personalities. And you notice I didn't say one of my favorite Jamaican media personalities. I'm not going to pigeonhole her. One of my favorite media personalities. And I'm pretty sure we are going to all enjoy it. I know there are other places that you could have been this evening. I can see why you are here, because it's gonna be a great evening. It's kind of bittersweet though, because as we celebrate listening to one of our really great media personalities, we also have to acknowledge the passing of one, Hubert Lawrence. He has been a friend of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, and just a couple of weeks ago, he was on making his presentation. And so at this time, I'm going to ask that we observe a minute of silence in reverence to the life of Hubert Lawrence. May the soul of this great Jamaican rest in peace, and life perpetual shine upon him. Okay. As I said, we are going to have a great evening, and I see we are up to 44 and climbing fast. But then I've welcomed you, but the job of doing the really special welcome is for PE Stephen Gregg, and so I'm going to ask PE Stephen to take over right now.
Thank you, President Newton. Good evening, one and all. Good evening, Kiwanians. Good evening, guests. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to, as the President says, Kiwanis Club of Kingston, another meeting. And we're discussing the Jamaican dialect and Jamaican culture, all part of this month, which we're celebrating numerous activities going on this month. First of all, February is Reggae Month, and hence the connection with Bob Marley. It's also Black History Month. So a lot of things that we are recognizing this month. And we have a quite suitable presenter coming on later on to share her thoughts on these and many other things this evening. My duty, I am PE Stephen, is to welcome various Kiwanian clubs and guests to our meeting. And as we normally do, I would like to first of all ask if there's anybody who is here, any guests or Kiwanians clubs from outside of Jamaica, ask that they unmute their microphone and just introduce themselves and the members of their delegation.
Hi, PE.
Hello, Director Roy, I see you. Go ahead.
Hi, this is President Roy from the Kiwanis Club of Toronto, Caribbean. I need to update my profile there.
Okay.
I want to wish you a successful meeting, and I'm here to enjoy and to learn from Faye again. Thank you. I'm not sure how many members are on the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, Well, you can please add them. So I forgot to mention that we would, it's a Zoom meeting, but we want it to be interactive. So please use the chat feature. And anybody who is shy can put their comments there, as well as the other members of your delegation from Toronto, President Roy.
Thank you.
But welcome to you and all the people from the wider diaspora, Toronto and otherwise, to this meeting. Glad to have you here.
Okay, and DPU, the temperature is warm. DP Stewart.
What is warm in Canadian terms?
It's nice. It's about 10 degrees or something like that, and it's raining.
It's all relative. 10 is warm in Canada, and,
okay.
and 30 is warm in Jamaica. But you're always welcome to jump on a jet and get back here in 3 hours' time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Any other clubs, Kiwanis clubs from outside of Jamaica, or any guests who are here from outside of Jamaica?
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm distinguished Governor Dr. Dolores Lewis from the wonderful island of Barbados.
Barbados, yeah, of course.
And I'm very happy to be here with you tonight, and I'm looking forward to Faye Ellington's work that she did with the Bob Marley music.
Yes.
So I'm excited to be here. I actually remember her from the early 70s. She was quite a popular radio personality.
Yes.
Around 75, 76, when I actually first lived in Jamaica. So haven't seen her since then. So I'm looking forward to seeing her again.
Yes, and she's still a popular radio personality. I'm not sure she will tell you if she's still on radio, but she's still very much a part of our media landscape, as you'll hear more about it as we go on in the evening. But thank you, DG Dolores. We're glad to have you from Barbados, BIM and BIMshire, and enjoy the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have Toronto, we have Barbados. Is there any other places before we move to Kingston? Sorry, to Jamaica, rather. All right, let's move to Division 25. Are there any Kiwanis clubs from Division 25 joining us this evening?
Good evening, MPE Stephen. This is Chairman Crystal Heaven from the Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. With me tonight, we have over 3 Kiwanians on. We're expecting more to hop on. Looking forward to an interesting meeting with Faye Ellington, Miss Faye Ellington, CD. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Crystal. Glad to have you again, and as well as all of the members of the Montego Bay Kiwanis Club. Any other Division 25 Kiwanis Club members? Let's move to Division 24. Is there anybody here from Division 24? Please open your mic and introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening. I am Kiwanian Ashana. A part of the Kiwanis Club of Charlton, Alexandria. I believe I was on the last time and I enjoyed it so much. So of course, me have to hop on back. So I'm so happy to be here again, and I can't wait to hear what more Faye has for us.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Kiwan and Ashana. Welcome again to you and your delegation. I think I should add that not only is our guest speaker, Faye Ellington, a radio personality, but she wears many hats. She's also an accomplished actress in her own right, a broadcaster, a journalist, and many other things that I'm sure she can share. Obviously, a dialect coach, producer. So I'm sure when she comes on, she will share a lot more of her history. And many of us, including myself, have grown up listening to Miss Ellington, Faye, Auntie Faye, various names she goes by. In fact, she is related to me. I'll kind of touch on. She's cousins with my another famous cantor, Kevin Williams. So I know Faye through her connection with Kevin Williams. So I'm kind of family to her, but I'll piggyback on my association with Kevin Williams. But thank you again, Kiwan and Ashana. We were at Division 24. Is there anybody else from Division 24? Let's move to Division 23, West. Do we have any Kiwanis from 23 West with us this evening.
Good evening, fellow Kiwanians and guests. This is VP Denzel from the Level. Currently, there are 2 of us on. Others should be joining soon.
Okay.
Thanks for the invitation. We're looking forward to a very interesting evening. Thank you.
Thank you, VP Denzel. Glad to have you. 23 West, any other clubs from 23 West? Let's move to 23 East.
Thank you, PE Stephen. Greetings from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. This is Secretary Bridget. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you to President Newton. We are 5 in number at this present time, and we expect some others will join. And I am thrilled and so excited. I am looking forward to hearing the presentation from Miss Faye. It's been a while, long time in a year. I'm looking forward. Thank you.
You're most welcome. And she will also, I'm sure, be taking questions also. So all of those questions you wanted to ask about the Bob Marley movie or about her career, you'll have a golden opportunity to ask her, and she's willing to share as many stories as she can in the time allotted. So thank you again. Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. Glad to have you here. You know that we always support each other's club, so we're happy to have you. We're in Division 23 East. Any other clubs from 23 East? We should. Just open your mic and identify your club and your delegation, please. Nobody else from 23 East? Okay, let's move to 23 Central.
Good evening, PE Stephen.
Good evening.
This is DP Rose from the Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew, cool hills.
West St. Andrew.
Yes, man, we're on board to go hear the patois this evening from Sister Faye.
Right.
And my delegation we're 5 in number right now, hoping for others to join soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, DP Rose. Welcome to you and your West St. Andrew, in the cool hills of West St. Andrew. President Newton, we should have this meeting in both English and Patois within the theme of the evening.
And I tell you something, I don't think anyone would mind the extension of the evening to facilitate that.
Okay, still doing the introductions and the welcomes. Let's quickly move ahead. DP Paulette, are you saying,
Yes, this is DP Paulette from KC Fab. Currently, we have 2 of our newest members online with me, Kiwanian Nicole and Kiwanian Colleen. We look forward to the conversation this evening, and we are expecting others to join.
Okay, that's Kiwanian Colleen and Nicole, you said?
Yes.
All right, welcome to both of them.
Okay.
And hope they enjoy the meeting this evening.
Thank you so very much.
Always a pleasure. We're still in Kiwanis Club's Division East Central. Are there any more clubs, any SLPs who are joining us this evening?
PE Stephen, good afternoon. How are you?
President Eurydice, yes, I see you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. That too. It could be afternoon where I'm at, you know.
There you go. So you're accurate.
Yes, but in the interim, I'm scanning the whole horizon, and I'm only seeing my reflection. But I am so thankful for this invitation and the opportunity to be here with you this evening.
That's the thing.
Look forward to this meeting and that others will join soon. So thank you so much from 23 Central Surrey Online. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, President Eurydice. 23 Central Online is joining us through the president. We're still in Division 23 Central. Also, if there's any SLPs who are joining us or non-Kiwanians, please just open your microphone and open your camera so that we can see you and acknowledge your presence. Oh, where? Ah, there you go.
Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening, DP Faith. See you.
I'm scanning through. I see so far myself and VP Denzel and DP Cecil. Look forward to listening to Sister Faith, and I know it's going to be a very interesting meeting. Thank you.
Very good. And you introduced a new title for Faith, so she's also known as Sister Faith. Ellington, Auntie Faye, and the list goes on and on and on. But that just shows you the depth of her experience and her the history that she has with Jamaican people and Jamaican culture. So yes, thank you, DP Faith. Welcome you and your delegation. Last call for any other Kiwanian club, SLP, any non-Kiwanian who are joining us for the first time.
Hello, good evening.
Yes. Jay, go ahead.
Good evening. This is Lieutenant Governor J. Justin Rose for the Division 1. I would like to extend a great welcome and I ask that you guys have an awesome meeting. And I'm looking forward for the presentation from Ms. Faye Ellington.
Okay. Tell me something, as a younger Kiwanian, LGJ, what your exposure to Miss Ellington would be through what? Where do you remember her from? Where would you?
Okay, so I would have seen her consistently on social media and on TV with her short stories and her reminiscing from her stories as a younger individual and how she basically how she kept the culture through her stories and ensured that it's preserved through our basic folklore. And I really appreciate that because even though I'm used to it with Miss Douglas at school doing that, it's awesome to know that there's other persons cherishing that significance and ensuring that other persons like myself are able to be exposed to such rich history and rich culture.
Right. It's very helpful. And part of the purpose in which she does that is hopefully that a new generation can also carry on the culture and the language and teach, enjoy it and appreciate it and expand and expound it to other Jamaicans so that our Jamaican culture will continue to be what the strong entity that it is. So
really appreciative of that because it's really something to be of thanks for. Like I'm truly grateful for something like that.
Yeah, we all are. We'll say all of us.
P. Stephen?
Yes, go ahead, DP Stu.
Our guest speaker,
yes,
Auntie Faye, has some guests that she would like to introduce.
There you go.
So we could allow her to do that.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity. I have my brother, not blood brother, but brother, David Shields, who is in St. Lucia. He's Jamaican, but he's working in St. Lucia. There's Marissa Bailey, a mentee, who is on this program, listening and watching. And also, I don't know if two of my JBC friends, we have a JBC group, the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation. Dolores, you mentioned that earlier on, but we should have Carol Ivy and Winsome Cousins on there. I don't know if anybody else will join, but that's it. Thank you for allowing me.
Of course, and welcome to all of them. And if you have other fans and friends, please encourage them to join. The Zoom link is there, and it's a Kiwanis meeting, but it's open to Kiwanians, non-Kiwanian guests, anybody who would like to understand and learn. So thank you, Miss Ellington, again. And
we're also streaming live on YouTube.
There you go.
The KCOK YouTube channel.
KCOK YouTube channel. So if you want to watch the presentation afterwards, please tune into our YouTube channel also. All right.
Good evening.
Good evening. Who is this?
This is VP Sophia from Papine, Kiwanis Club of Papine. We're two in number. Others will be joining, and we look forward to a traditional down the road memory lane meeting this evening.
Yes. Okay.
So thanks for the invite.
Thank you, VP Sophia, and thank you for coming. And
he is Stephen.
Yes, go ahead.
Secretary Bridget, I would like to recognize DLG Gerthlin. She has just joined us.
Yes. Hi, DLG Gerthlin. Kingston.
Greetings from Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. We are three
join your meeting, Stephen. Great to be on. Thank you. Have a great meeting. Loads of fun.
Thank you. Thank you, DLG Gerthlin. We are happy to have you here as usual, and I hope you enjoyed this evening's presentation.
I'm sure I will. Thank you.
Okay. DLG Willie, your mic is open. I'm not sure if you're saying something or you're aware that the mic is open. Any other guests? So this is the final roll call for any guests or Kiwanians who would like to identify themselves. If not, going once, going twice.
Good evening.
Good evening.
There are 5 members from the Kiwanis Club of Mandeville joining online for this meeting to listen to Auntie Faith tell us her story. So we're looking forward to a very wonderful meeting with you all.
Okay.
And I'm DP Josephine.
Thank you, DP Josephine, from the cool hills of Mandeville, Kiwanis Club of Mandeville, that's right?
Yes. So five of us are on.
Okay, 5, interclub delegation.
Yes.
What's the temperature like in Mandeville now?
Oh, we had rain this evening, so.
Okay.
So weather is cool.
All right. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go, if there's no other introductions, I'm going to return the microphone to President Newton to continue with the meeting. You're President Newton.
Thank you, P. Stephen. I thought you were going to be on for longer this evening. We are up to 79 now. So we know some persons just haven't introduced themselves. But I also want to recognize that DG Delores Lewis is in on the meeting. Welcome, DG Delores.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be with you this evening.
Glad you could make it. We are also happy to see that faculty advisor Aldith is also with us. And my friend PD Stottrell. Welcome, Sir Stottrell. Haven't seen you in a little while.
So it is when you get old.
No, man, you can't get old.
Thanks for recognizing.
Okay. And I also want I'm happy to see DP Paul all the way from Japan. Nice to see you, sir. No.
Yes, thank you very much, President Newton. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay. No, early on, I heard P. Stephen is normally a level-headed, calm person, but I heard him shamelessly saying that he's related to Faye. And Faye belongs to all of us. So we don't call her Miss Ellington or anything. All of us call her, we are very familiar with her. We call her Faye. Well, I want to be as shameless as P. Stephen and say that I also am related to Faye because she's a Jamaican, I'm a Jamaican, and we both come from Clarendon. So it's not you alone, sir. All right. Okay. At this point, I apologies for absences. I have not noted any, but DLG Willie, do you have any?
Yes, I have apologies for absence from DP Richard Reese.
Okay. That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Well, as we know, and at this time, I should have said it early on. I have to thank P. Stephen again for pulling triple duty last week when I was absent for most of it. Really appreciated it, sir. And it's back to you again, P. Stephen, for recognition of birthdays and anniversaries.
Okay. Thank you, P. Thank you, President Newton. I'm back again quickly because I, like everybody else, would like to get to the main presentation. So for those who are new to the meeting, at this point in our meeting, we usually recognize Kiwanians who have birthdays or special anniversaries for this week. And the week that we're covering is the week of today, February 27th to March 4th.
Sorry, P. Stephen, yes. Just to pause you, Kamika Jones, I think your microphone is open and we're getting the feedback. Thank you. Go ahead, P. Stephen.
Yes, okay. I think most people heard that I said I'm doing birthdays and anniversaries for this week. So first of all, I'll acknowledge those members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. So on March 4th, we have our very own PDT Ralston Nunes, who will celebrate his birthday. So happy birthday to him. When it comes, all of you who know PDT Ralston, Raleigh, you can give him his greetings. That's next week, Monday, I believe, yes. So
and I too am very familiar with Faith.
Everybody is. Are you a relative or are you a friend or both?
Could be both. That's my dear friend of many, many years.
Very good, I'm good.
If you say so yourself.
We'll see if she backs it up for it. Sure, she's ready to go. Okay, also in terms of birthdays, Kiwanian Garth Wright has his birthday also on the 4th of March, same day as PDT Ralston, so happy birthday to him when that comes around. Kiwanian Windsor Sawyer, his birthday is tomorrow, the 28th, as well as our own again, Chairman DP Dalma James, his birthday is tomorrow, the 28th. So if you happen to know any of these Kiwanis Club of Kingston members, please send a special birthday greeting to them tomorrow or March 4th when their special day comes around. I'm also going to now quickly just put an open invitation. We have 80 people online now. Is there anybody who is celebrating a birthday this week that would like to be recognized? Anybody having a birthday? I guess not. So anyway, everybody have a positive week and a productive week. And thank you again for coming to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. I hand it back to you, President Newton, to
Thank you, P. Stephen. And as we all know, part of what we do here, we like to educate. And part of what we want part of the education is about Kiwanis, what this movement is all about. So at this moment, we're going to ask DLG Willie Risa to come on with Kiwanis education.
Thank you, President Newton. Good evening, all. This evening, I want to speak to you about Kiwanis International 2 for 2 Membership Retention Program. This was introduced by Kiwanis International only just last year. As we are aware, one of the biggest challenges faced by clubs is in the membership growth and retention of members. For the most part, membership growth is not a one-time campaign or event. It is a continuous club operation to help more kids in the community who need us. And every member should play a part. But who do you make fun? As a club, we should begin to start using a new resource to grow your club's membership and make membership a greater part of the club's operation. It is called 2 for 2. The premise is simple and easy to implement. 2 members meet with 2 prospects every month to discuss Kiwanis and the club impact on the community. The meeting can be anywhere, such as libraries, their homes, or places at work. Making your invitation personal. When you talk to someone about Kiwanis, your goals are to create relationships, rapport, and referrals within the community. Discover community goals and needs. Invite the people you meet to support Kiwanis. Invite the people you know to join as a member. Building rapport is more than just what you say. It's how you say it. Remember that meeting is about the guests. Look the person in the eye and firmly shake hands or greet and give your full attention in a virtual environment. Show you are genuinely happy to meet him or her. Right. Show interest, ask questions, and actively listen. Mirror the other person's body language. For example, if he or she leans forward, do the same. Introduce Kiwanis. Have fun. Tell stories. Connect on a personal level. Introduce them to other club members. Avoid Kiwanis jargon and acronyms. Clubs that try using 2 for 2 will be entered into a monthly drawing for a US $200 gift card from the Kiwanis Family Store. President, Secretary, and clubs. Anybody who has not tried the 2 for 2, suggest you try it. No, it will work. Thank you, President Newton. Over to you.
Thank you, DLG Willie. And that was DLG Willie with Kiwanis Education. There's another piece of education that it's not Kiwanis, but it's general. Some of us know it. Some of the youngsters might just be hearing it for the first time. We know that people, archaeologists and everyone all about, have been searching for the fountain of youth. Well, we know that 2 Jamaicans have found it. One of them is our guest speaker tonight, Faye Ellington, and the other is another Jamaican. I won't call his name. Well, let me call his name, Derek Harriott. So those 2 Jamaicans have found the fountain of youth. I hope I'm not sending everybody to flock them now to beg some of the water. But at this point in time, I'm going to hand over to DP Earl Spencer to introduce our guest speaker. DP Earl.
Good night, everyone. President Newton, fellow Kiwanians, and guests. It is my pleasurable task to introduce our guest speaker, a daughter of the soil, who attended my sister's school. I cannot resist commenting on the spelling of her first name and have concluded that her parents had intended to spell it F-A-Y. Then they observed that her second name was A, so you would get F-A-E, and you would get Faye, a resounding Faye. I just like to see these things that bring back memories to me. Faye Ellington is a communication consultant who has a solid foundation as an actor and a radio and television broadcaster for, I wonder if they got this right, 5 decades. She must have started when she was a teenager. She has established herself as a sought-after trainer, facilitator in media, communication, and platform skills. For over 4 decades, she has conducted training for several companies and groups across the public and private sectors in the Caribbean, banks, corporate entities, business and financial companies, government ministries, departments and agencies, and hotels. Faye is also well known as an individual speaking coach who has worked with heads of banks, doctors, attorneys at law, politicians, pastors, public and private sector leaders, entrepreneurs, actors, and performing artists. She holds a master's degree a Master of Arts degree in Communication Studies from the University of the West Indies, Mona, where she lectured in broadcast journalism for over 3 decades. She was conferred with an honorary Doctor of Liberal Arts honoris causa, Northern Caribbean University, in August 2021. Dialect and voice coach for films and TV productions, such as Sprinter, One Love Bob Marley biopic, which was just released on Valentine's Day, Black Cake, now playing on Hulu, and Get Millie Black, HBO release date to be announced. She's the chairman of the National Integrity Action, a member of the Access to Information Appeal Tribunal, and patron of the Clarendon 4-H clubs. She has been awarded the National Honor of Jamaica, Officer of the Order of Distinction, Commander Class, that's CD. She was awarded the Musgrave Medal, and St. Hugh's High School Distinguished Past President. She is a distinguished past student. Also has been awarded Outstanding Contribution to Media and Communications University of the West Indies, Institute for Gender and Development Studies. She's a culture icon, the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information on Jamaica Day 2020. And she is an award-winning actress and journalist. Without further ado, please welcome. It will be a resounding, a deafness actually, because we are on Zoom and everybody can't turn on the mic at the same time. But Faye, you know, we are applauding you and looking forward to a wonderful evening.
Thank you so very much. Thank you everyone for having me. Thanks for that introduction. Did you say forces cadere, cedere non potest?
That's right.
Okay.
I should have been able to recite yours, but
yes, fidelitas. One word, fidelitas.
Oh, fidelitas, right.
Yes, yes.
Good.
Thank you so much for asking me to join. But you know, as I listened to the various comments, and yes, me related to Stephen. Me related, Stephen, no, then take no liberty with you. By the way, I hope you don't mind, but I use both my languages. I go from one into the other. I hope you're comfortable with that. And that is a question to everybody. Yes, and I want to also acknowledge Dolores Lewis, who said she remembers me from the mid-70s. And that is roughly when I started my career, Dolores, in media. I'd started in theater 3 years before. Went to the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation in 74, and the rest is history. That's why this year will make it 50 years. I cannot believe it, 50 years, but that's how it is. I want also to acknowledge Jay, that young man, because when our young people can connect with the importance of our culture, then you know that something is happening. And for those of us who are older than Jay, you know, people often say to them, what you know, they never know. How them to know if we not tell them? We have to tell them, we have to expose them to it. So let us remember that. So Jay, then I want to say hello to Marcel Boyce. Marcel, I hope it's the same Marcel Boyce whose father used to sing with the Jamaican folk singers. Just tell me yes.
He's the only Marcel Boyce they have around.
Right. Well, if that is the Marcel Boyce, because I want to make some linkages. By the way, I don't know if I must tell you my story, tell you the story about the Bob Marley movie, or tell you Lion Tory. I don't know how many people, how many of you know the Jamaican phrase Lion Tory. Lion Tory. Why? Lots of education going on here today. Lion Tory. When you, anybody know the term Lion Tory? You chat too much Lion Tory. You don't know?
No, not familiar with that one.
It just means that you're saying things that may not be true. Lie and Tory.
Oh, okay.
In the Jamaican language, we don't have the S on story. We say Tory, tell me something, give me a little Toria, tell me a little Tory, lie and Tory. Of course, along the continuum, we will say it differently depending on where we are. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to put a little quiz out there. If you know this, please do not respond immediately. So Earl Moxham, my dear friend, is from St. Elizabeth, great journalist and friend of mine. And Earl said to me one day, because, you know, I have understood the importance of dealing with the Jamaican language from I was in theater, but definitely more so when I went into broadcasting and in other elements of what I do. And so I would listen to these things based on where in the country they are from and, you know, work out certain things about them. And Earl said to me one day, Faye, if I said to you, Upayo, what would you understand by that? So may I say to Uno no, Upayo. Upayo.
Who is your father?
Who's your father?
Who is your father? Who says so? Lorena, you say so, or Carleen?
Look Payo.
No, Upayo. Who said who is your father?
Carleen.
Carleen, you come from St. Elizabeth?
Kind of.
Me know, man.
Not from Earl's part.
No, it no matter. Because, you know.
And I went to Bethlehem, so I kind of.
You know, you hear. So Upayo is who is your father? Father. So when Earl said this thing to me, all right. So I did exactly, I just focused and I played in my head as I say it again, and I worked it out. But it's not all of the accents in Jamaica you can work out. So the very first time that we had the staging of Calabash, my dear friend Leonie, I drove down and we went down to Calabash. Rest in peace, my sister. And as I wasn't very familiar with the area in terms of where I should park, so I saw this lady, statuesque, with her bankrupt on her head. Open to know about bankrupt, right? And an ordinary basket. With her bankrupt on her head, man. And so I said, good morning. Could you tell me where I could park? The lady answered me. First of all, she was gentille, right? But I couldn't understand what the woman said. So I asked again very nicely. Good morning, ma'am. Could you tell me if it's okay to park here? The lady answered me. I still not understand what me look on Leonie. Leonie look on me, and Leonie have some St. Elizabeth background there too. So I start to get agitated with me now, because I am this person who likes to know, say me on top of the language and the different accents them. Me ask the lady a third time. She answered me a third time up to now me understand what the woman say. That accent in St. Elizabeth, at that part of St. Elizabeth, is really different. You go to St. James, right in a Montego Bay, and them have the Benagudong there. Them do that. You go to St. Mary and you have another kind. You go into Clarendon, you have another kind. Anyway, I'm just saying that to say there's no one sound that comes out of Jamaica. There's no one vocabulary that comes out of Jamaica. And the vocabulary that my mother is au fait with and that I know is slightly different from what somebody of 25 and 30 and 40 knows, because language is not static, it changes. That's why a dictionary, you have editions of a dictionary. So maybe, what was it, 20 or so years ago, them put in yardy in a dictionary, and the whole of it, they mad when then they say criminal from Jamaica. So we say, hello, you have to fix that up. They still kept criminals from Jamaica, but they say a native of Jamaica too, and bling and all them stuff in their dictionary. So that's how language is. So my journey with the Bob Marley movie. Natalie Thompson of Cinecom Productions. They are the local body in Jamaica, the company that steers all of, or most of, the local productions, films and all television things and documentaries that come into Jamaica. Natalie was trained in Canada. She went to Alpha. She was trained in Canada as an actor and also in the production side of things. So she's had this company for over 40 years. And so whatever movie is coming in. So Natalie contacted me 2022 to say that Paramount wants to do some work on a movie, and they want somebody who can look at the entire script and decide if the language that it's being written in is the language that would have been spoken at that time. I thought about it and I said, yeah, I could get involved. But I said to them, why don't you also get in touch with the Jamaica Language Unit at the University of the West Indies? I don't know if many of you know that there's such a thing as a Jamaica Language Unit, which brings me to another point. Some people say dialect, some people say Creole, some people say patois, but it is indeed a language. All right, we can talk a little bit more about that later on. So I put her on to the Jamaica Language Unit, put on Paramount, Natalie told Paramount, and Dr. Joseph Farquharson, who is the head there, they got in touch with him. Before Dr. Joseph Farquharson, there was Professor Devonish, Hubert Devonish, and then Dr. Joseph Farquharson. Brett Tyne is a team of us who worked, okay? Brett Tyne, American, but living in England from she was 9. She had been contacted by Paramount there as well. That's where she lives, to start working with Kingsley. So Brett Tyne, no, had to, she was just, how am I going to do this? This language is interesting. It's different. It's difficult. But there is a way of writing the Jamaican language, an official way of writing it. And that is one of the books put out by the Jamaica Language Unit. If you look at it, it's a How to Write Jamaican, and it is written using the Jamaican spelling. And of course, you have the English on the other side. So what Brett did, because Kingsley, I should tell you, Kingsley had come to Jamaica. He was taken around. He visited, this is long before the movie started shooting. And he started to listen to all of these Bob Marley interviews and watch him perform and listen to him talk. And it's, I don't know, as Jamaicans, we all know that sometimes it's difficult to understand what Bob was saying. So you can imagine for a foreigner what that was like. So he's finding his own way through this thing and hearing the sounds and trying to replicate them and all of that. But there comes now Jamaican language unit, and the style of writing is called Cassidy. So there was a linguist who was in Jamaica in the 50s, and LePage and Cassidy came up with this writing style, just the way you learn to do French or Latin, it's there. And so she learned that, which is a proper, when you read Dr. Carlin Cooper's columns in the Gleaner on a Sunday, you'll see sometimes she has two. You have the chaka-chaka spelling, which is the way you might write it, or I might decide to write it, and then you have the proper spelling. What the proper spelling does is that you must write it that particular way. Whereas with the chaka-chaka spelling, I might spell one word like we, W-E-H, but you might spell it W-E. So the proper spelling formalizes the spelling of the Jamaican language. So it exists. And for those of you who may not know, a lot of work has been done. This thing needs to be done in the education system. And people fly up all over Carlin Cooper and the linguists because they don't understand what they are saying. If you teach someone, a child, in their native language, they are going to grasp whatever you're teaching them better. About 15 or so years ago, Professor Devonish was head of the department at the time. By the way, I'm not a linguist, right? I just use my Jamaican language and very proud of it and recognize that it is very important. So they had a pilot program in some schools in Jamaica. St. Richard's Primary was one of them, if my memory serves me right. And so they taught the teachers how to write, and the children write and read this. And you'll be surprised to see the improvement in the performance of the students. You go to any country where they have several languages, they teach the children in their native language, their heart language, and you have greater success in the other subject areas. So that is what Brett did. She learned the thing, she wrote it, and then she started writing out Bob's interviews using this so that Kingsley could start now hearing this thing and seeing what it looks like. And all of that happened for months. I want to take maybe 15 seconds to say, with all the work and the help that came from the Jamaica Language Unit, that came from Brett Tyne, and that came from myself, the person with the lived experience who would do the polishing to make sure it right, Kingsley Ben-Adair inhabited Bob Marley and allowed the spirit of Bob Marley to inhabit him. It wasn't a few weeks, it wasn't a few months. He worked assiduously. How Bob spoke, that drawl, that got, it was just amazing how he wrought all of this. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, a musician cannot do what an actor does. I'm making a point. So some people say, why didn't they get one of his sons to play him? Him son they old. Bob did it in 36. All I son them past at the age. Why didn't they get a grandson? The grandchildren, the grandsons, hello, who says they can act? Secondly, the important producers on this movie were Rita Marley, Cedella Marley, and Ziggy Marley. So they must know what they want, and they did auditions, right, with people, and they found. I listened to Ziggy speak about. He said when he saw the audition that Kingsley Ben-Adair did, he said, you can pick that up. You can pick up when you have found the right person to do a part, and that was what happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, time now come for me to join the team. I went to London because the production was shot some weeks in London and some weeks in Jamaica. Because remember, it really covers a 2-year span. A 2-year span, 76 to 78, right before when they were shot, just before he did the Smile Jamaica concert. He left right after, went to Bahamas, then went to London, and that is where the Exodus album came into being, right? And then coming back to Jamaica for the One Love concert at the stadium. So I got there at the end of November, last day of November, 2022, went on set at the 1st of December. So what am I doing? So Brett has been doing some work with Kingsley and Lashana to a lesser extent. I should tell you, the work was not just with Kingsley and Lashana. Lashana, by the way, her mother is Jamaican, right, from Kellyson, Clarendon. So she had that understanding of the tonal quality and phrases and all of that. But the young performers who played the Marley band members, some of them, and who played Neville Garrick, God rest his soul. Neville Garrick was played by Sheldon Shepherd, a young actor in Jamaica, was done some good work, done films himself, so he played that role. But I also worked with the Jamaican actors, for clarity. You might hear you're sitting, you have on your headset, you're listening to them do a scene, and the words are not particularly clear, or to deliver them in a different way. So I worked with them as well. And then some of the band members were not Jamaicans, like family man Barrett. He just died. He was a bass player. It's just some amazing things happened. His son played his role. Aston, fabulous young man. Then Junior Marvin, his son played his role, and they also musicians. And then we have the other young actors who play the roles of Seiko and, Gilly and all of that. So I worked with them as well, and with Lashana. So here we are, I get there. A day on a movie set is roughly like 12 hours. People thinking of them see them, they'll think it's a wonderful thing and you're just having a wonderful time. And when I got there, it was December, as I tell you, and it did cowl. And we were on a movie lot, like on the big, expansive tent where you have different sets over there. So you have the studio, and over there, so you have a house, and over there. So let me tell you something. And we had to work. So I got up at 6 o'clock in the mornings. My driver, yes, my love, me did have driver. My driver came and collected me. I got to the lot, and you have breakfast and you start working at 8. Yes, and feed you properly. You have breakfast, you start working at 8. You have a break for lunch. Sometimes if a scene is really at that point where you have a rolling lunch, you don't want to break it or stop it. And then we go up until 6 o'clock. And then where I'm living, my hotel is, it's going to take me about an hour or so, depending on traffic, to get back home. So these are long days, but they're very fulfilling days if this is what you like. And then the family spirit, the camaraderie, it was simply amazing. People research you before you get there. So they kept calling me Jamaica's national treasure. They must read up on me and know my work in culture and the rest of it. And I felt extremely welcome and comfortable. And Brett was working with Kingsley before, as I told you. And Brett and I got on like a house on fire. This is my end of London gift from Brett, which says One Love on it. So we worked together beautifully. We had another interview earlier today, and we were explaining that. So this was teamwork. The late Neville Garrick was the historic advisor on the movie. Now, Neville was critical to the making of this movie. Why? He designed about 10 or 12 of Bob Marley's album jackets. Exodus. And if you watch a movie, or if you haven't seen it, you'll see the process, the scene that was written for that. He was the visual designer, the artistic designer for all the shows that he was doing. Neville graduated from UCLA in his early 20s, in the early 70s, came back to Jamaica, was working at the Daily News, and him and them followed, and that's how he got to Bob Marley at 56 Hope Road. But here's something exciting about Neville. I, as a young broadcaster, I'm passing by where the Daily News was, and I saw pieces of art on the fence on the roadside. And I said, what the dickens is this? That was Neville's artwork. And I just found it so amazing. I did his very first interview on radio, and he kept reminding me of that. But Neville had such a body of knowledge about the man. They lived together in that house in London, along with the other band members. They went out of the place. They got into trouble for having ganja. They do all kind of something. So Neville brought experience to that movie that nobody else could have brought there. We are the same age group. He's just about 3 years older than I am. So we came up in the same period. So we would be watching, Ziggy would say to Neville, and as we're watching things, he says, he's expecting us to look at something and know if that would have happened in the 70s. And even things like the fabric that the I3, and by the way, the correct term is the I3 and not I3s. Yeah, the I3, once I'm sitting there and I'm saying, no, I'm not take those women, we don't wear that. Yeah, so you have to go work with the costume people. So Neville, Ziggy, and myself, we really work tightly together, and Brett now by transcribing all of these scripts into the Jamaican language spelling so that Kingsley could get familiar with it, right? But I want to congratulate the actors tremendously, the director. We just had a good, tight family thing. We know we had to represent a global icon, and we couldn't mess with it. We had to do it the right way. And the person who knew that more than anybody else was Kingsley Ben-Adair. It's almost as if I said earlier on, he inhabited, and that Bob inhabited him. It was just something else. And it didn't matter how great we were, Joseph selling the Cassidy spelling down, or I'm working with him on polishing and getting the right inflection for certain words or whatever it is, or Brett. A lot of what you will see on the screen in terms of this young man learning this Jamaican language, but it's not just a Jamaican language, learning how Bob Marley used a Jamaican language, and Bob used it. He was a different speaker with this thing. He is to be congratulated. Tremendous work he did. Tremendous, tremendous work. So we did 6 weeks we did 2 weeks in December 2022. We got 2 weeks break for Christmas. I came home, then I went back on the 2nd of January, and we worked again up until the 10th of February in London. Then we came home to shoot the various scenes in Jamaica. So in addition to the lot on which we worked, we had some location scenes to do. Some lovely work was done, like in Trafalgar Park, or after the reception in the hotel, where there was a little tightness between Rita and Bob. That scene that you see, if you've seen the movie, outside when there's a little disagreement, that was shot outside in the cold, cold, so till, because we have to stand up there now. And we have on our cans, as they call them, and you listen, and if you hear one little thing out, you say, no, I have to go to the director and say, or you could say, I go to the person who is in charge, and they say, Faye's coming in. I'm going to talk to whomever it is, or Brett is coming in, meaning we're going to talk to the person, because you do it over and over until you get it right. And no matter if it's cold or if it's hot, you do it. Our makeup is coming in because they have to touch up makeup. Our hair is coming in. So it's over 2,000 Jamaicans who were employed when we came back to Jamaica. And I wish the powers that be would understand the power of the creative industry and the employment that it creates for people. So over 2,000 people were employed here in Jamaica. So what is a movie set about? It's not just a script and the actors and the director and the producers and the financiers. You have to have food for 2,000 people. There's got to be security for the various assets that you have on the location. You have to have, then again, if you have stars, then you have to have that level of security, right? You have all the equipment, you have carpentry. I don't know how many of you passed on Lady Musgrave Road where the German people used to have their little thing. And that property was, they built a 56 Hope Road, which is where Bob Marley used to live, 56 Hope Road, but we couldn't shoot on Hope Road. We have to lock down Kingston. So we built it there, a replica of the 56 Hope Road house. You know, so you have carpenters, you have engineers, you have it's like a city. A movie is like a city. You have accounting. You have people who are taking care of making sure that, then with, oh yes, I should tell you this. So here we are, and of course, COVID is happening. And if you're going to get close to the actors in particular, we all have to test, but if you're going to get close to the actor like myself and Brett, we have to do testing almost every day. We have to do a COVID test every day, almost. You know, so that was another thing. And medics are on, you have doctors and nurses there as well. So, you know, that is the way the arrangement is. In terms, people ask what was perhaps the most difficult thing in terms of the Jamaican language. I'll tell you what, by saying this. Kingsley Ben-Adair he's done so many interviews in America after the premiere here and then their premiere all over. And somebody at the end of one of the interviews on CBS said to him, all right, so we're going to play another bit of the movie. So could you just introduce it in the Jamaican language? He says, no, the Jamaican language is sacred. So he is not going to mimic the Jamaican language or make it appear as if he's just having fun with it. He has said that might as well he was learning French, because it is a language and all of what comes with the language, which is why, by the way, I don't know how many of you know this, but the New Testament has been published for years now using the Jamaican language. All right, you have the English on one side and the Jamaican language on the other side. So certain sounds were more difficult for Brett, who transcribed and all of that for her, but she's worked in phonetics for a while, so it wasn't impossible at all. And for Kingsley as well. So little sounds or little inflections, because he doesn't have Jamaican parentage. His grandmother is from Trinidad, you know. But he lives in an area where there are Jamaicans around him, but he was going to be taking no chances with this thing. So the Jamaican side of things, there was, I think, a little bit more appreciation for Bob Marley when we came back to Jamaica, and the actors, in particular, Kingsley and Lashana, they appreciated the Trenchtown experience because they are actors. They're not superficial people. They're working deep to find out who are these people, what were their circumstances, how did these circumstances shape them. So that, not just when you come here to shoot, you know, they are doing all of that prior to, but when you come here to shoot now, you are in it, you're immersed in it. So that was lots of great, solid connection with our culture. Trenchtown, Bob Marley Beach, Cane River Falls, and these are places where Bob Marley and the members of the Wailers would all go to. And Bob Marley did, in fact, live at Bull Bay for one point. After the shooting that night, Rita went to hospital, but the family was living in Bull Bay. So the experience was one of respect for our language, respect for our culture, ensuring that nothing was done to, in any way, denigrate the culture, the absolute need for authenticity. So Brett is there. We have Joseph Farkas, I think he addressed you earlier on. A month or so ago. He's doing his part to guide Brett, and Brett is guiding Kingsley, and I am the ears on the ground to make sure that things are right. I've told this before today, and I've said it before, and it came up. There was a scene in which the family man Barrett went out and found the Exodus album, not the Bob Marley album, the musical Exodus. So he brought it back to the house and they were playing it. And Bob heard this full sound coming up from downstairs. So he goes to the banister, looks over the top, and it's the landing, and says, a simple thing like this is hard. We do it in Jamaica and we think it's just easy to do. And he's looking down and says, what that going on down there? We don't do that. We say, what going on down there? What going on down there? That's what we say. But he just couldn't get that sound. He just couldn't get it. What going on down there? Rather, so little things like that. And let me tell you, he would not stop. He worked on it, worked on it, worked on it, worked on it. He just worked on it until in ADR, which is when after the shoot is finished, we have to do some, and every movie does that. You go now and record things, fix things, whether the C was too loud, and you need to fix that, or you need to get some clarification on something in terms of what the actor is doing. And he got it. Technically, he got it. It was hard to get. So little things like those that we take for granted. My friend from Barbados, that's a totally different lilt and inflections than ours. And Trinidad, totally different to ours. And sometimes I wonder if ours is not the most difficult one to learn and to share with people. So that is some of what, I don't know, you could ask me some questions if you wish. And yes?
Can you see that beautiful dress you have on?
This is my bandana. This is, you know, you mentioned February being Black History Month, and last week was Teachers Jamaica Day. And bandana is a Jamaica fabric, but of course it's either this or the black, green, and gold, not yellow, that those of us who are so patriotic that we cannot manage not to have something. So I have several things of this. Thank you for the compliment. And if it's not this, then it's black, green, and gold.
I hear you.
Yes.
Okay, Ross, any other question? Oh, that was what you wanted to say.
I'm just being mischievous.
Okay. Faye, thank you for that, you know, wonderful insight into what goes on a set. I saw the movie, and that thing about the house. When I looked at the house, I said, look at the house, but where's that circle in the front of it? You know, when you go into the Bob Marley
Was there? The
Museum,
circle was
it
there.
was. I didn't see that. I thought I
Yeah,
saw the
man.
house straight.
Yeah, the circle. Maybe they shot over it, but then they spent so much time to create that circle. Circle was there.
Okay, well, somehow
Yeah,
I must have missed that.
Yeah.
But you know, I've listened to a number of interviews with Ben, Kingsley, and
Kennedy.
I've really been impressed with. I have to say it's respect. It's really respect that he has shown to the legacy of Bob Marley, and in terms of the importance of getting it right. And he really communicates very well in these
Very, very
interviews.
well.
And you know, I saw him in that movie One Night in Miami. That's the only other movie I've seen him in. So I was aware of him, but I never seen him in this kind of a role. And I think it was an excellent choice. And I really
I
think
believe
that,
so too.
you know,
I believe so.
and
Of course, a lot
he's
of the people who were complaining about it were people who had not seen it, right? That was one. But they also were concerned that some of the movies we have had in the past with Jamaican characters, we never did justice to the accents and like Cool Runnings and so on. And so people just didn't want to hear that again, where somebody my mother would say a massacre the Jamaican accent and so on. So that was their concern. And the other concern was why you couldn't get a Jamaican actor. But the thing is, why you couldn't get a Jamaican actor is that when you're pumping 100 million into a movie, you want a name that is known. And you see, I have been on that end of it already. You know, there's a movie called Milk and Honey. And the late Trevor Rowan had got me to read for that. I auditioned. I did about 3 different levels of auditioning. And I know I was the person. And I waited for 1.5 years. And Trevor called me one day at Cinecom and said, Faye, I'm sorry, but they need a known person. You hear me tell you? So I felt that. So I know what the business is about. I know what the business is about. And interestingly enough, they got this young lady, and then Leonie had to turn around and try and teach her how to speak Jamaican. And it wasn't very effective. Not Leonie's teaching. Because and this is a very important point I want to make. Now, remember I told you that Kingsley used months to master this thing. Not 3 or 4 months to master it. You will see that there are other movies or television programs coming out around now too that may not have the same level of efficiency, may not have, because the time was not invested with the actors to get the accent right. I know I easy something.
Yeah, and they probably didn't realize how important that was in making the movie authentic. Fellow Kiwanis and guests, floor is open. Don't be shy. You can use the hand in the chat, that feature, and we'll call on you. But who would like to ask Auntie Faye a question?
You'd like
Yes,
to ask?
yes. It doesn't have to be limited to the movie. You can ask.
Well, they get their courage up or whatever it is. You know, everything that ever done in my career or in my life prepared me for the work that I now do on a movie set. What do I mean by that? I mentioned Marcel Boyce. I see somebody hands are up. I mentioned Marcel Boyce. And I spent a year with the Jamaican folk singers and Dr. Olive Lewins. That year, the value of that was about 10, because we were not just learning the words of a folk song. We were learning the history of a folk song. We were learning the melody, yes, and the words about the history, where it came from, what it means. So you know slave lament, and you're singing that song, recognizing the slaves being buried or the slave lamenting, or you know. And so anything that I've ever done, and I have been so privileged to have had some wonderful people around me, like Louise Bennett Coverley, Ranny Williams. As a young, my first pantomime was 1971, Music Boy, written by the late Trevor Rowan. And just being in their presence and seeing their ability with both languages, I couldn't help myself. I had to walk that path. And I had to, from then, understood and respected the fact that there are 2 perfectly good languages in Jamaica, and we just need to have the confidence and the competence with both. I say about 4 and up. Ken Nelson, Ken Nelson from JBC.
Yes, Faye.
Oh, I'm glad. You remember I told you some JBC people might be coming on. Hi, Ken.
Hi, good night. I just want to ask you, for you to make the decision to take this assignment, was it dependent on the monetary benefit or from a patriotic decision?
Patriotic first and foremost. You see, the industry in Jamaica is not where it is in America and the UK, where you have an agent and you have manager. None of that. So we don't have the ability to have any great or put yourself in a position where you can say, look, these are my rates and you have to pay. You accept what is offered to you. You may have a little wiggle room for negotiation, but it's not like you would have in the UK. So we are growing our industry, and that is one of the things that we would need to do. So there's no whole heap of money that you get from that. But I wanted to make sure that this thing, people would say to me, I know them have one small in Jamaica and I play Bob Marley. I say, wait until you hear it. You wait until you hear it. So yes, that was to ensure that I could help with the authenticity, not just of the language, but the whole production. Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
I see some other, hey, Jay.
Good night, Auntie Faye. Okay,
my-
so I have basically two questions. One so far is, do you think there could be more done as it relates to honoring Bob Marley, other from a movie that was awesomely detailed? I haven't watched it as yet, May I plan to watch it soon, like very, very soon before the month finish. But do you think there can be more done, being that he is basically the person that gave reggae the push it needed for today?
When you say more done, what are you asking me?
I mean, all right. Being currently a high school student at this very moment, you know that you have heroes, right? And the greatest recognition anyone who could get for contributing remarkably to history is becoming a national hero, right? So I would want to know if you think it would be just for him to attain such a title.
Let me tell you, for a number of years, this has come up about whether or not, it's not 1 or 2 or 3 years, this has come up on several occasions, whether or not Bob Marley or Miss Lou or both or whomever should be made a national hero. There was also talk, and I have felt that maybe we need another category as well, which would take it more like global cultural icon. I'm not suggesting that they have to use that, but yes, there perhaps is a need for him to be recognized at a different level. But then they will have to sit down and decide whether it is national hero or something else, another nomenclature that they are going to put in for him and his impact. So that's how I'd answer that now. But it is not new. It's something that has come time and time again to be addressed. You said you had 2 questions, Jay?
Yeah, and just to expound on that a little bit before my other question, as you know, we are taught in basically Caribbean studies and communication studies that people help to build a society and society helps to build people, right? It would be awesome if these great persons attain such recognition, because it gives some level of identity to throughout the world, and without what they did, it wouldn't have made Jamaica as known as how it did because we have all these riches, we have all these diamonds, we have all these cultural diversities spanning from throughout the world. And if these persons didn't take it up, we wouldn't have gems like you.
I'm quite certain, Jay, that something will come of it sooner rather than later, because it's been going around for a long time, this discussion. So keep your ear to the ground. Something should come of it. I believe so. Now that this is happening with this movie, I believe so. Yes.
Oh, my second question is, what basically gave you the push to actually start media and communications, being that I'm really fascinated in doing the course at UWI?
When I was at St. Hugh's High School, I was very involved in the creative side of things. As a member of the Drama Society, the Debating Society, the school orchestra, the school choir. So I was definitely an arts person. And when I left St. Hugh's, I became a foundation member of the Jamaica School of Drama as it was then under the auspices of the Little Theatre movement. And so I started to grow and develop in that area. Then when I was finished there, I worked with Dr. Olive Lewin as a cultural and recreation officer in this, what was then called prisons, the 6 prisons of Jamaica, where I'd go in and teach drama. And after about a year, one day, I didn't quite like how the rehabilitation program was going. I didn't think that the system was doing it right. And in my young stage, I just said, this is it. And I left that job after about a year. But nobody did tell me, say that, me not come from a rich family, I may have to take care of myself. So there was I now, a week off a job, and I'm thinking, how am I going to live? So Leonie Forbes, who taught me at the School of Drama, was then at Radio 2, which was the FM station for JBC. And in my desperation, I called Leonie and said, I need a job. But I wasn't thinking about being on air because I was terribly shy, yes, and lacking in self-confidence. Even though you're working on stage, you work with other people, you play off them. And so I went thinking I'd get something behind the scenes. And the late Dennis Hall, who was the chief announcer then, called me in for an audition. So I did the radio audition. I think I had to read some news stories, some classical names with some death unknowns, whatever. So I did that, and it was something else. It rattled me. And then when I was through with radio, he says to me, come little one, we're going across to television. Oh, Jesus. When I got into the television studio, I had been in the studio before because the Jamaican folk singers used to perform their Izuzu, their half-hour program. But you're sitting alone in this massive space with light and camera on you. I nearly died. I survived. And that is how I started in the business. My school friends at St. Hughes will tell you that they are not surprised that I ended up doing what I did because of who I was in school. Thank you, Jay. Thank you very much. Barry? Master Barry? That's what my mother would call a country, no Barry?
Yes, Miss May.
Yes.
Well, you call my name like you know me.
Me don't know me, I look.
But anyway.
You know you.
Yeah, it's all right. You probably will recognize me through this, shadow that I'm in. But anyway, I am so happy and appreciative of what you shared with us tonight because, I'm not a Kiwanian and I don't belong here. I shouldn't even be opening my mouth, but I couldn't resist because of the subject matter that you dealt with. And how much it resonates with me. So good evening and due respect to all Kiwanians. And I'm sorry I'm not one yet, but anyway, forgive me for saying something in this meeting. No, you as someone who was born and raised in Trenchtown and proud of it, and also grew up in a time when
you're related to Owen Blacker Ellis?
I don't know.
Okay,
I actually don't know the Ellises very well. And that's another story. We won't go into that too much. Yeah. But anyway, I was born and raised in Trenchtown. And, I grew up just about the time when Bob Marley and the Wailers were getting into their career. So I followed the career from the very first hit right through until his passing. And then, of course, until today. So I saw so much of what you said about him, and about the actors going into Trenchtown to get a feel for what that meant. I have a question that comes from that, but I also want to say what you shared about the Jamaican language. I am so glad to hear that. I know that's your position. I also appreciate Dr. Carolyn Cooper, her stance on that, because I've had many, many debates with some of our own Jamaicans about the fact that Jamaican is a language. Many people still don't realize that a whole generation may have to die off before we get to the right point. Anyway, question. The people who went into Trenchtown to sort of get a feel for what Bob Marley lived, Trenchtown has changed a lot from when I was growing up there and when Bob was there.
Yeah,
how did they arrive at, how did they manage that?
We managed it.
I'll shut up now and let you answer.
Yeah, then we managed it because guess what happened? You have Ziggy Marley and his brother Julia, whoever it is, they're all there, and we have the movie set is never going to leave you exposed. So there will be security, some of it obvious and some very not so obvious. And once the Marleys come, you can remember the Marleys now are people of a different ilk, you know. So they have for them own a security as well, right? So we have security for the production. We have security for the Marleys. But the thing is that the Trenchtown was so, the people of Trenchtown were so appreciative that it came to them, that they did all that they could to make it work. They did all that they could to make it work. There was never an incident down there. Never an incident. You understand? There was never an incident anywhere where we went, right? But you people that say, Trenchtown, not a thing wrong with Trenchtown. If you mind the mindset that we go to these places with. And then there were tourists from time, but you can imagine what needs to happen in Trenchtown now. And I could, when we were shooting there in March last year, I noticed the community center, I think that's what it was. One day, I just say a whole heap of things start putting in. I said, because a man who lived across the road had some beautiful bougainvillea and something else. We said, oh, what is this? See, the Marley has taken over. People don't know, you know, these Marley people. There are two things I want to say. These Marley people do a lot of things that them not talk about. That's one. And they just get in there and do what needs to be done. And I found that fascinating. Them just get in there and do things. And they don't need to have. One day, Ziggy said to me, Faye, I'm leaving. I'm going to leave it early. I have a few bags of something we need to drop off. It turned out about 500 bags of groceries them to him go buy or something like that for people. But you see, they don't walk around and carry on and say, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. But one of the things I noticed they did, and their children, oh Lord, they have manners like old time Jamaican people manners. His wife is a lovely lady. And when they don't know, all of them, you know. But they have them to say no, and they pick their nose, say no. The little one, Isaiah, the last one, right? It's just how them interact. Them as country people, they say they're mannersable. They're mannersable. It's just so one, and so he exposes them as well, right? He exposes them, and as I'm about to tell you, there's one incident I saw that they posted some pictures of. They must have heard about a woman who needed a house. I never remember which part of the house in there. And they went to get this house built. And he had everyone I picked them ahead carry wood or whatever it is, or little Isaiah carry things, right? To help, because he want them to understand that how they live is not how others live, and they must help other people, which was really the message of him father, you know, one love. Oh, I see my friend, Mr. Reason. I haven't seen you in 4,000 years, sir.
How are you doing?
The heart I make God thanks.
You sound good, my dear. You sound good. Listen, I just got a call. I got a call from Marcel Boyce. He's on his way back on the Natural Express from Montego Bay where he was working today.
Yes.
And he says he's listening to the program, and his father was in fact the Boyce that you know very well.
His father was an amazing tenor.
Yes.
An amazing tenor.
Yes.
And such a wonderful man. I tell you, I was influenced by some older people. I was born at the right time. These people really had to shape me in ways that some of them didn't even know they did, just by observing. Those days, you know, we didn't call them mentors. We called them, you'd say, that's a good example. Follow that person.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, please,
Absolutely.
I'm happy that Marcel got in touch. You know,
all right.
Thank you.
And he's listening. Okay.
Yeah.
Take it easy, keep safe.
Thank you.
Okay,
Stephen,
yeah.
because
yes, I couldn't say.
He's not joking. Make them understand say it's real relative. Oh.
I know, you and I know. So love the presentation, love the insight. I have just one comment or question for you. In your many years, and your interactions with Bob Marley, in retrospect, did you see him being the icon that he is now, and could you ever foresee that you eventually would be working on his movie? You know,
Let me answer that. Make Daddy ask a question. Daddy ask a question. I went to England to do a production course at the BBC in 1977. And I took 3 albums with me, and one of them was Exodus. It had just been released. and I decided I wasn't leaving it in Jamaica. I carried it with me. You see all that little song, Three Little Birds? Anyway, working on this movie wasn't only the actors who had to discover who Marley was. I got some insights that I never had. I know him as a revolutionary, and the whole of it, that appears, well, I shouldn't say the whole of it, many of us were radical and we have pushed certain things about human rights and all that, but I got a chance to sit down and really penetrate this man and his contribution. An ordinary contribution. Is not ordinary, and that's why I understand where Jay coming from, right? In terms of how do we honor this man. It's not an ordinary contribution. And so I learned about him. I connected with him in ways that I never had. And to answer your question, well, there's another part of the question, Stephen, which I think I forgot, but let me go here. I never thought I'd be working on this. Which was Stephen there? Yeah, I never thought I'd be working on this. And, you know,
or that he would rise to be the icon that he is now.
Right.
When you saw him in the 70s and he was on his rise, did you say this man is destined for greatness?
No, I didn't necessarily see it that way, but I cannot tell you that others didn't see it that way. I have a friend named, oh my goodness, how didn't I tell him? I have a friend named Mike Jarrett. He was in communications and PR. Mike was the first person who introduced me properly to Bob Marley with Hallelujah Time, the album there. Right? And so people like Mike or people like Herbie, who was at the Institute of Jamaica, those people might have understood where he could get to, you know. I was at JBC, I played music, but I wasn't a musicologist. And Dermot Hussey might have recognized it. I don't know how many of you will remember Dermot Hussey. Right, those people might have understood where this brother could be, but I didn't get that. I knew that he was singing songs that resonated, particularly those songs that came out from the Exodus, with me that is, the Exodus album Going Up, you know, those things were, and you know, touch you in a very special way. But a prophet is never ever recognized in his own land. You know, I think you asked me another little question, half question there, Steve, which I never answered.
Well, no, you answered it. One was your interactions throughout the years. If in retrospect you saw him as a star, and then if you could foresee that you would be working on his biopic later on.
As a young broadcaster and a young announcer, I think I was a little afraid of him as well. Because yeah, there are some of his songs that came across as angry, but angry for the right thing, if you know what I mean. Something I should share with all of you here is that I had the honor and privilege of covering his funeral. As Ken Nelson from JBC is here, the outside broadcast for JBC Radio 1 of his funeral at the National Arena. And I did some interviews with a number of people, including 9-year-old Stephen Marley. I have those interviews still. Right? 9-year-old Stephen Marley telling me what it means that his father is dead. And he said, it means that him gone, right? I interviewed Don Taylor, who was once Bob's manager. I interviewed Roberta Flack, who came to Jamaica for that funeral. So, and then it was the late Ozzie Harvey, Norman Marsh as technical operator, and I, and the driver, Mr. Constantine Morris. We drove from the arena right out to, can you imagine, we went through the gorge trying to do commentary, right? And we had to stop at Bog War. We were not needed to go to 9 miles, but we had to, with people all along the way. So that to me, so this life, it has come full circle for me. Yeah. Covering his funeral, taking that Exodus album to London when I was going to BBC to do my training program in 77, and then bam, coming right around now, working on this. I mean, I am blessed. So the money not there in terms of not only for money, but the what it means to me, the emotional connection and the fulfillment.
Okay, thanks, Leah. And before you go, one last question, if I can squeeze in. How much do you think Rita's and it's played out a little bit in the movie, ensured Bob's legacy from what you see?
Oh God, yes, she did it. She did it, my love. She was the business manager. It didn't matter the polyamory that he was involved with 4,000 women or however many, but they seem to have got to a place. And I hear Ziggy do an interview on said something on one of the social media platforms. He said that it was bigger than being physical. It was a spiritual thing between them. But from early in the day, Bob had recognized her as a business person. And so when he died, then hello, she stepped up there. And then the children now, Sedella Marley, they're all entrepreneurs. Have anybody noticed it? Every one of those children, entrepreneurs, every single one of them. So, and I was just thinking today that when this movie has gone 100 million now, right, at the box office, and I'm certain that all Bob's records are going to, the sales are going to take off with some of the old people replacing them, older people replacing them, but a new generation of people will be introduced to Bob Marley's music. People 40 and under don't know who Bob Marley was.
There's a new streaming chart that Billboard has just recently introduced, and he's on those now.
See that?
Yeah, new
People
charts.
40 and over, they
man.
weren't around. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you, Stephen. Simas Ralston, hand is up.
Thank you, Faye.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ralston.
Thank you. I have not seen the movie as yet, but is there any reference to Bunny Wailer and Peter Tosh in this movie?
Not a lot, because you see, they did the movie looking at the path they took in the movie was 76
to 78.
76 to 78. As Bunny and the breakup would have happened prior
Before,
to.
yeah, from 73.
Prior to, long before. So you, I tell people all the time, you could do, if I did a movie on Bob Marley and I could do something that has other elements in there. If you do it, you could do other elements. This man, 36 years, had so many, you could do one. And a lot of people, I saw a young person, I think it was Dottie Berry, saying, what these people want. I suppose some people do want to say problems between woman and woman on the screen, Bob, woman, them. But this is not what the movie is about. That's what Dottie Berry was reminding people. It's not about that, you know. But so the way the Peter Tosh, there is a little glimpse, I should tell you, because you ask, the young Peter Tosh and the young Bunny Wailer, when they first went to Cox and Dodd, you get a little glimpse of the young ones, but not the adult ones. Because just to shape the picture, they gave a little scene of them.
Yeah, they're flashbacks.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Chris, I see your hand up, Chris.
Thank you, Stuart. It's not just a question I have. It's just that my own experience. About 1994, I got the opportunity to go to Israel, and one day I was walking down street of Tel Aviv, and some youngsters asked me, where I'm from, and I said Jamaica, and they said Jamaica. You mean Bob Marley country? And I said yes. And
I had to
spend perhaps the next hour and a half talking about Bob Marley and whatever I know and about his music and things like that. Because they were so fascinated by this person. They wanted to know if I know him personally, if I've ever been to his house, what type of person he is and things like that. And I didn't know him personally, more than just his music and what you read about in the newspapers and so. But they were so fascinated. And this is 30 years, we're talking about 30 years ago.
Yes.
So I can very well imagine, I can understand where young Jay is coming from.
Absolutely.
That, this man, there must be something that we should be doing as a country to recognize what he has done to uplift the name of Jamaica on the world stage.
And the name of Jamaica, and also things that when I think of the wars, I think of Bob, right? It's peace and love and, human rights in terms of how you deal with people. So, yeah. So the one love is really, it has several meanings. And perhaps the most important one is that as a world, we need to just love.
Yeah.
You know, interestingly, you know, right down near to the Mediterranean Sea, there is a little club. And of course, right out at the front of that club at the time is a big picture of Bob Marley with his guitar.
There
It
you
is a
go.
Jamaican club.
There you go. There you go. I remember going to South Africa and going to a winery in Pretoria. Pretoria, where to go? Anyway, there's a little white guy came out to greet us. We booked a tour, so he come out. He had the black, green, and the red, green, and gold beads around his neck. So when we approached, just 6 of us women, and I was the youngest one, I decided to, you know, just go tour. And he came and I said, "You wearing?" He says, "Yeah, Babylon. I'm gonna deal with the ghetto Babylon." So I said, "What do you understand by that?" He said, "Bob Marley, and I'm going to deal with Pretoria next." I said, "All right." Okay. But we know the work and the role that Bob played in places like Zimbabwe and all of that, you know. So it's not a first time I've heard about Israel and Mali as well, but everywhere in the world you go. Absolutely.
And one of his wishes, and he sang about Africa Unite.
Yes.
It's interesting that a lot of the things that are happening now in Africa is moving towards exactly that.
Yes.
You know, it will come in phases, you know, regional groupings,
Yes.
but it is happening.
You're so right about that. You're absolutely right about that. It's going to come with blood as well.
Yeah. One thing I'd say about the Bob and Peter and Bunny relationship, I've been watching a lot of documentaries because we did a presentation on Bob Marley earlier in the February. And one of the things that I've picked up from some of the documentaries that I've been watching is that when they released Catch a Fire, which was the first album for Island Records, Blackwell had said, you know, these guys are going to be stars, but if I can get them to tour. Now, the thing is, when you are just starting out, the touring that you do is not for big money because you're trying to sell yourself. So when they went on the first tour after Catch a Fire, they weren't really paid any money. And that was one of the things that Bunny didn't understand. How come we're not getting no money? You know, other than just subsistence. And then when the second one came out now after the album Burning, him said no, him not going to do it again for no money, you know. So but Bob, there are several examples I've seen where he looked long term. He could see the value of doing it, and therefore, you know, the reward's not going to come now, but it will come later. And one example I remember is in his latter years now. And in fact, I happen to have watched that concert at Madison Square Garden in 1980. Or yeah, it would have been 1980. Or just 81. I can't remember if it was just the end of 80 or it was went to 81. But I was in New York at the time. And when people said that they wanted him to perform as an opening act for the Commodores, some of his partners were saying, but the Commodores should be opening for you. But there was a deal where one of the top disc jockeys for Black radio in New York had made this saying, do this, open for him, open for the Commodores, and I will guarantee you 3 months of solid airplay in New York. Bob said, I'll take it. So he has always, you know, examples are abound that he was looking long term. Yes, so it's no wonder that he achieved the success he did.
He was. And somebody asked me recently, you know, do I think that if Bunny and Peter were still with him, that they would have been this large as a group. I don't know, because they were pulling in different directions, and sooner or later the group would have gone.
Yeah, I think pretty much like how the Beatles, you know, they were talented a group, and they're gonna have different ideas. They want to pursue different things. I think, you know, and no, they don't. I think Peter didn't really want to live in the shadow of Bob. So that's it. It happens in groups, especially when you have talented people. They go their own way. So it was inevitable, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay. If there's one more question, we can take it before we wrap. Is there one more?
I just want to say that I think Bob Marley sang one of the greatest love songs that I've ever heard. Turn Your Lights Down Low. A beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And people are becoming listening to the music from with a different understanding now, you know, and they are reuniting with the music. The people who, when that song was released, the people who were listening to it understood and connected with it. The younger generation now, who just meeting up with Bob, they're meeting this now.
One of my favorites, which is not played as much right now, is Babylon System.
Yeah.
You know, I just love the words. You know, he said, you know, you is what you want me to be. No, that's not what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And he says it clearly, you know, and I just love to listen to this words.
Before you go, I just want to make a point that came home to me, because if you weren't on tour with them, you wouldn't have known, or if you did, nobody told you. On tour, Bob was always the first one to get up and the first one to get in the bus. And when the concert done, the first one back on the bus. That kind of discipline.
Yes, I've read that.
That's
I've watched that. Yes.
Never told. And
Yes.
always first one, and of course the exercise, whether it was cold London or Jamaica, they must go play football and exercise, right? And he was a hard taskmaster. He had something to do with the band. Come, get it. We have to get it. We have to get it.
Yeah,
but that
discipline.
Kind of discipline. He see himself as a star. First one on the bus every time they're leaving, and when the production done, the performance, come out and sit down and wait.
And one might be tempted to think that, you know, somebody who smoked a lot of ganja appeared laid back would not have that sense of discipline. But that's exactly what he had. He was an extremely disciplined person.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Well, if I don't see any more hands up,
Just one small comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Faye, this was a really enlightening thing. But of course, as a KC man and St. Hughes, you realize Neville Garrick was also a KC man.
Of course, as a matter of fact.
And so we feel connected.
No, man, I moderated Neville's service at the chapel at KC.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, I moderated that. We didn't know the meet on the film, Neville and I, because of, you know, meeting him from in the 70s and interviewing him, and we were not in touch every week or every month, but he would be in LA. So he went back to LA many years ago, and we would talk frequently. If he was coming to Jamaica, we'd always meet up at least once when he's here. So when they passed and all that, and the family asked me, would I be? Of course, I wanted to moderate. Of course.
Well, some of these things are also timely, because look at when he died. After he was finished the work with the Bob Marley, that's a complete.
Let me tell you, I was very proud of the director and Paramount. That was Paramount. I wasn't in LA. Do you know, when Neville was very, very ill in hospital and they realized that the end might have been near, they took the rough cut of the movie so he could see it.
Wow.
Oh, that's lovely.
When Neville called me, himself, so I can't do it, I'm going to cry.
Yeah, okay. You understand.
Yeah, that's so wonderful to hear that. Yeah.
And I had one, sorry, before you go, I had one opportunity to exchange words with Bob. And I didn't even realize he was actually trying to fool me. I stopped at 56 Hope Road. I don't know why I thought somebody else lived there. This was in about 1977. And he was playing football. And I said, oh, but wait. I said, I called the name. And he said, no, not here. And I say, but wait, you're Bob Marley? He said, no, it's my brother that. And I said, you can't fool me. And I just saw him. I saw that's the only exchange I can recall. And I just want to make one more. I remember when I was in England, that's before 77 now. I'll never forget that night. I didn't go to the Lyceum, but I heard the tune, the No Woman No Cry. And you know where the guitar kind of gives out
Brother
sound.
Marvin, man.
And I had a lot of hair, you notice now? And it stood up. I'm telling you. And I bought that album, bought 2 copies, and I gave a white friend of mine, he was my classmate, a copy. And he was just enthralled by it because that album, the live album at Lyceum, boy.
That must have been something else.
Yeah, man.
Live
Because you hear all the white people, I'm sure it was mainly white people. When they screamed at it, I said, oh God, I got the chills, man.
It's so funny that you bring in the white people's story because part of what Chris Blackwell had said to Bob is that, and Bob Cannon says that he needs to go to America and perform to the white people, the white students. And that is where you see the thing really mushroomed. You understand? So Chris had a lot of vision.
Yes.
And I must tell you, the young man who played him did a brilliant job. James Norton did a really good job. Please allow me to speak about Quand, who played the teenage Marley. He's just so good. He's a musician himself. What made him so good is that he was not trained in theater. When you're trained in theater, you perform big because you have to fill the thing. He was never trained, so he was just the right thing for the cameras. Cameras are still, you don't get big like it up on Wild Theater stage. You understand? They're small. And he and just his spirit, lovely spirit. Lovely. But all the young people were great to work with.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. See, we have someone who's gonna do the vote of thanks. DP Rupert, your time.
DP Strut.
Oh yes.
Before you get there.
Go ahead.
I should have done it about half an hour or so ago, but I just could not break the flow. So could I ask a member of the club to move a motion for an extension of 10 minutes?
So moved.
And seconded.
Okay, thank you. DP Rupert. DP Rupert, I think it's your turn, sir.
Might be muted and he doesn't know.
Sorry for that.
I'm pretty sure if you take too long, somebody will be glad to take the honor away from you.
Yeah, I was just saying I haven't reached home yet because listening to one of my favorite persons from in the 1970s.
You better join the line, sir.
Yeah. I've always called her sister, but I've been in a number of situations with her myself, but I'm not from Clarendon. I came from St. Mary and St. Anne, near enough. Tonight, let me tell you, we could listen to you for hours. I've heard you telling us how to do presentations. I've heard you telling us history. I've heard you telling us some things, unless you grew up in the 70s, because as you mentioned, the 70s taught us so much about self-awareness, about our history, about the struggles that were going on, not only in Jamaica, but especially in Africa. And you brought back so much of that this evening, and we just want to say thanks. You're special. You mentioned that a prophet is without honor in his own country. A prophetess is with honor at the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. I just want to tell you thanks so much for sharing with us. We appreciate it. And from all the gentlemen who are members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and all the other Kiwanians who are on tonight, all of us, we are so grateful and appreciative of all that you have said to us. And man, you have to come back again. I don't know when, because this is just a tips of all that you do. This is only about the one love part of our experience as Jamaicans. And thank you for making Jamaica proud. We thank you for all that you did. In fact, if you didn't talk so much about it, we didn't know that you did so much behind the scenes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of all of us, thank you so much. Now, the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is a special one. Usually when we have guest speakers, we give them a certificate of appreciation. We're going to make sure that this one is handed to you. I don't know if it's Stu, DP Stu is going to do it, or the President Newton who's going to do it, but I wouldn't mind finding you and taking this one. Then you're going to realize, oh, you know, I taught you a few things some years ago. But thank you so much, and we'll get that to you, ma'am. The Lord bless and keep you.
Thank you so very much for your kind words. And I'm looking at the certificate as you speak. Thank you so, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure. I hope I really shared something with you that you didn't know somewhere.
Lots.
Thank you.
There are many things we didn't know that you shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Faye. Thank you.
Have a
Thank you.
Let me just, Mr. Stewart.
Hi.
That's what he reached out to me. Thank you so much. We've known each other over the years. I don't know so much you know, you know. Anyway, 4,000. And I'm sorry that I teared up a little bit a while ago, but that's how I feel about my friend Never Garrick.
Mr. Calabash man, don't forget that. Yeah.
What was that?
Calabash man.
No. Russ, I just want to bring in that part to counter the KC, you know, but it's all right. We don't have to go there.
I thought you were saying Calabash.
I really enjoyed this.
Yes.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, and all the best. Stephen, don't make them think so me and you relate back, but you're not so related. Tell your wife and tell how they do.
All right, Faye, thank you.
President Newton, just a minute. Sister Faye,
Sure.
Roy from the Kiwanis Club of Toronto, Caribbean. I would love to invite you to address our meeting sometime in March.
It's a Zoom meeting?
It's a Zoom meeting, yes.
Okay.
We can't afford the flight.
You can get my contacts from Stuart. You can send me an email and we plan it.
Okay, and just to tell you that we did the screening of the One Love movie in Yorkdale Mall, and over 400 people attended. It was wonderful. Thank you.
I'm happy to hear that. I must tell you, I was in another session with Kingsley Benadier today, and Kingsley, I was complimenting him on how diligent he was with his preparation as an actor, and, you know, and he said, well, I had to make sure that I could come back to Jamaica, that I could put my foot in Jamaica. I had to make sure I could put my foot in Jamaica. No, he really took it seriously, you know. He really took it seriously.
Yes.
Make sure that I could put my foot back in Jamaica.
Yeah, I really admire him. And
he's a young man. He's what? 30, mid-30s.
Oh, so you got the exact thing.
Yeah. You know, the coloration, the age, and a brilliant actor who could go to that place and find Bob spiritually.
Well, I've found something very strange about great people. And I don't want to commit sacrilege or anything like that, but you notice the age Bob was. I'm sure you have a few others like that. And Jesus was 33.
Oh, you know, that's where I was going.
That's what I was starting with. That's why I said I didn't want to say sacrilege. But that is it, the great things. So much so, I joke on it that we are all here for a specific purpose. And when you have accomplished it, you go. But there are some of us, like me, we don't really want to know. And then we won't worry about having accomplished it. So, because I'm ahead of you, you know, Faye, I'm in the fourth score now.
All right, you're sure for me.
Yeah, so you have something to look forward to.
Yeah. Well, I tell you this, you know, Earl, I was with my mother on Sunday. She was 96 on Friday.
Wow.
Okay, so when I called her Friday morning, here the lady to me. I'm going to the 100, you know. Well, my mother's side, they are long livers. And her brother died at 93 last October. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years ago, my mother's cousin died at just missed 102 by a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But you see, I really believe that living in the country, that country air, it's country me come from a bush. And you have to walk uphill and walk that hill walking, which is what we are going to gym now, a try for thing. You understand? When I sit on my mother's veranda and say, the few people who still farming, if a young man pass who is farming, every muscle, and we are going to gym up your money. Because I'm have to use hoe and machete and fork and him and walk and turn out. You understand? There's no fat on him. So
I tell you, Auntie Faye, it was great having you. As a matter of fact, the proof of the appreciation is if you looked at one stage, I saw 110 persons online, and when you finished, after you had finished, and I looked, there were still 90 persons online. Bear in mind that our meetings usually end at 8:30 because a lot of people 8:30 is a lot of people's bedtime. And it's now after 9, and they're still with you. So that it's as DP Earl said, we're gonna have to have a part 2 of this. So let me add my 2 cents. Kosofe, because I can't let Steve alone take all the accolades. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to have part 2. So again, on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, thank you for joining us and for putting on a performance tonight that we didn't expect anything less, because we all know who it is that was coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, President Newton. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Be safe. Good. Tell them other one how they do.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Coming off now.
So at this point now, we are going to, I don't know. I mean, Sergeant at Arms, you were not our favorite person all along. And now following Auntie Faye, I don't know where you are, but we're going to bring on the Sergeant at Arms.
That's okay. Before Auntie Faye rushes off, I just want to say she taught me at Karamak.
Who that?
So I'm one of her students.
Who is that? Show me thy face.
My camera is not on.
His name is...
No?
There he is.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm going to tell my Auntie Shirley that you say hello.
Please say hi.
He's a Zuri, I'm sure you're one of our students you'd want to forget. Anyway, I'll probably pay next year for that comment.
or maybe someone else will pay tonight. So my Kiwanian brothers and all our other guests, Auntie Faye, everyone, good evening. So quickly, because we're talking about Bob Marley, I'm going to just share a story about a Rastaman, right? So a Rastaman goes to the bank with a 25-kilogram bag of marijuana and hands it over to the cashier. Shocked, the cashier asks, "What is for?" The Rastaman replies, "I'm an here to open a joint account."
Good one.
Now for the charges. Kiwanian Warren McDonald for bringing back traumatic experiences, memories to persons who have suffered devastating 6 loves at Domino, $300. DLG William Reeson for your double message deletion on Sunday at 10:49 a.m., $300. Kiwanian Jeffrey Mesado for your request for the Bob Marley PDF. It was forwarded many times and your request could have been a private message. So for that, $300. Kiwanian Jermaine Wood, because it would be a travesty to not poke some fun at your surname. $300. DP Paul for your open mic night. It's just that the open mic was at the wrong time. $300. And Sir Rastan and P.E. Stephen for claiming relations with Auntie Faye, $300. But because President Newton also claimed relations, we're going to up that to $600 each. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, sir. All right. I know we're running short on time, so we're going to go straight into notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. Secretary William.
Thank you, President Newton. Just a note before I make any notices or announcements that we had this evening 131 people between members and guests. All names were recorded. In the interest of time, I'm just going to remind members of the upcoming ECNC District Convention. Early registration closed Sunday night at midnight. You can still register. The registration is now 360 Canadian dollars. That is from being held in Montego Bay from May the 16th to the 18th. Disappointing though, we only had, as at Sunday night, only 5 members from the club have registered. We need more support, so please, I'm appealing to those. Don't lose this opportunity. There's a good learning opportunity for you all. We have arranged a separate accommodation outside the hotel, so anybody who needs accommodation, please let me know. You may just want to direct message me. And so far, the Kiwanis Club of Kingston 60th anniversary, which begins, we start is a church service on March 24th. Please put it in your diaries. We'll have a get together and meet afterwards. On the Tuesday, which is the 26th, we'll have a special evening. Well, we're planning to host our weekly meeting at the Police Officers Club, where we have the presence of all 3 candidates who are vying for positions at the upcoming convention, being Vice Governor DLGE Sharon and VP
Hope.
Hope. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Insofar as fundraising, we want to close off the Christmas ball by the end of the month. Unfortunately, that is only going to be up to Thursday or Friday, is it? We need to. There are a number of persons with outstanding tickets, and there are a number of outstanding ad collections that have to be done. I'm appealing to members, please, those who have any outstanding collection, please follow up. Let me know. We need to have a detailed statement for the board meeting on Monday of next week. We will be having a fundraising meeting at my house on Thursday, the 29th of February at 6 p.m. I will send out the notice reminder in the morning. And so far as interclubbing opportunities, I will update the interclubbing schedule. I'll circulate that tomorrow to members. Thank you, President Newton. You may ask if there is any member who may have announced. Thank you.
President Newton.
Thank you, Secretary William. Hi, PDT Ralston. Please go ahead.
Yeah. On Monday, we witnessed the changing of the guard, the handing over a baton from a North St. Andrew Kiwanian to a Kiwanis Club of Kingston Kiwanian. Our own distinguished President Charles Sims was installed as the Master of Lord St. John on Monday, and I think that should go down in achievements.
Okay, sir. Glad to hear. Congratulations to him.
Yes, and probably should also indicate that there were 7 members of our club who witnessed what happened.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that information. Anyone else with any other announcement?
Yes, praise.
Hey, DP Joan, President Joan.
Jesus.
I'm speaking it into being.
That's right. Good evening once again, fellow Kiwanians. Just a reminder of the fundraising opportunity for Division 23 Central. There will be a concert March 9th, and tickets are on sale. The tickets are $3,500, but each club, well, each ticket that is sold, the club will get $1,500 from each ticket to their own charities, and $2,000 will go towards the show itself. So just wanted to throw that out there. I will resend the flyers and the information. There's a special way to get it done. So it's going to be available online. So there is a special Kiwanis ticket. So you would select that ticket, and then all the arrangements, you can speak to me. The arrangements will go through me. So the tickets will be accounted for, and then I'll speak directly with your presidents.
Thank you, President Joan.
No problem. Thank you.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Okay, DP Marcel, are you on? Since you were in transit, I'm not sure he's on.
If he is,
no, he won't be.
All right. Well, I just looked up one in case he didn't make it, and it's a Bob Marley quote. It says, "The greatness of a man is not in how much wealth he acquires, but in his integrity and his ability to affect those around him positively." All right.
Very good.
That being said, it has been one of those nights that we have gone way over our time, but I am pretty sure there's no one online now who would have had it any other way. It was a lovely evening, and so you know, I just have to thank you again for coming, and hope you'll be with us again next week. So at this point, I'd like us to raise a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica land we love.
Kiwanis International, Jamaica land we love.
Okay.